Alrighty, this is the 1983 Sky Striker, and it is about 23 inches long and about 22 inches wide. This friggin' awesome jet was, well, one of the best vehicles that G.I.Joe made, and it comes with pilot Ace, and like I said, Ace looks more like an astronaut compared to the other pilots made in the G.I.Joe line. But the Sky Striker was friggin' awesome. And you know, hours on end of playtime. And it's got a lot of weapons, well, missiles underneath. And we'll have a quick look at the size of this. It is friggin' awesome. Now the box art shows that they have black, tail fins, but this looks cool. The F-14 Tomcat, that's what it is based off of. And ho ho ho. Now mine, I am missing one spring there, so if anyone has an extra spring they can donate, that would be friggin' awesome. But as you can see, there is 6 missiles, and I believe that's supposed to be like a raft for the big bomb in the middle. But this is freaking awesome. I don't have any parachutes for mine. I was gonna get a couple more, but then I just got sidetracked and got other vehicles, and then, well, this thing just jumped up in price. It's pretty ludicrous that people are trying to sell these things for $500 or more. Complete. So let's show you something cool that this vehicle does. Now you pull the lever here. We'll just have to take it back down here. This lever here, you just slide up and then the wings retract. We need more space for this one. Alright, so you slide it. It was so hard to fit into the video here. But you can see the landing gear goes up, but my springs are a little worn, so if I could find another spring to put in there. But this thing is freaking awesome. Now the real F-14 Tomcats, they're striking down their targets kilometers or miles away. There was other versions made of this friggin' awesome jet. Now when HasLab did the Sky Striker, that was like my Super Bowl. Watching it go down to the wire there and just jumping. I think it was the last hour. People just boom boom got in on it. It was like, wow. I do have one coming. I am excited about that. And even if Lenny designed it with smaller holes, that still means you can fit your vintage figures in there. So that's a good thing. But they shouldn't have deviated from the vintage style, and they should have left the back pegs or the holes in the back, well, the same size, so you could interchange and be compatible. Because your majority of your collectors in your market is your vintage collectors. Hate to tell you the truth, but that's where your market is. So Hasbro, if you're listening, the next wave of O-ring, go back to the drawing board and well, make them compatible. Because you know what? There's Operation Recall, and I want you to Google that. Operation Recall backer kit. You can still get in on that till February. And there is call sign longbow. And call sign longbow also, I think you still might be able to put an order in, but you'll have to email them and find out. Now, 1983 also, like Duke here, he was a mail away figure for that year, so we'll just turn down the lighting and see if we can get a better close up here of Duke. But they redesigned one, making it more like the Sunbow animation, and that's friggin' awesome. Like, he did come with a jump pack, so. But again, the weapons will be oversized, and look at the hands. There is no quality control. You think they would have noticed that? But the weapons are oversized. You know, they have to make them like the vintage. And if they're not checking on that, well, you know, your fans are going to be not too happy. Now, I did make another custom Wild Bill. Wild Bill on steroids. So that's pretty awesome. And my Cobra Major Blood. See, Major Blood in the cartoon always had a Cobra uniform on. And well, the comic pack heads, I'd like to just say one thing though. There is this is the only head from the comic pack for the Cobra soldiers that was cool. This is friggin' awesome. So I do like these ones, but the other ones that were smaller heads were no good. Now there is a bunch of other versions of the F-14 Tomcat, or the Sky Striker. And that is the other version here that I have. People have, I think this is a 2011. I do have the box up there. Let's see if we can get some light on that box. It is up there. And the only bad thing about this 2011 version, they cheaped out and they just put one driver in the cockpit, and the missiles on this don't go in deep, so then they tend to fall off a lot more. But it is still a very nice looking Sky Striker. But that is the only huge drawback on this. Now let's take this one out to have a look at. Oh, my USS flag is going to get even more coated. Oh. So we're going to do the same thing and pop the landing gear in. It's freaking awesome. And it does have what the box art had, the black tail fins. But the cool thing with the HasLab Sky Striker, you're getting over 200 decals, or decals, or stickers, whichever you want to call it. But again, this is so hard to fit into into the camera from close up because of this, the size of this. It is friggin' awesome. Coming in for a landing. Ooh. Well, the missiles didn't fall off yet, but they're pretty darn loose compared to the first one. So I hope Lenny definitely keeps that in mind. And you can see it just fell off there. So my aircraft carrier is a little bit crowded here. Let's get some light on that. We do have a few vehicles sitting there, and that's that's some more stuff for review. Now, you know, I didn't know why they didn't make a Blackhawk for G.I. Joe. They did have the Tomahawk, but anyways, I love this. This was one of the best things that G.I. Joe could make. And you know, that also makes me wonder, why did G.I. Joe have such a hard time? You know, there's so many military style vehicles to choose from the half track to, you know, you could have did an episode where the Dreadnoks break into a museum, or Cobra Commander wants to get some German tanks, you know, and then the Joes go into the American tanks, and then, you know, they could have remade a Tiger tank and, you know, some of the Panzer tanks, and for sure the Sherman tank. Like, these iconic tanks of World War II, you know, that's something that G.I. Joe, that fits right into G.I. Joe. But the, how you say, engineers or designers at Hasbro just lost the foresight of what G.I. Joe is. And that's why the vehicles just kept getting crappier, like the rat. But some of the newer versions of vehicles were just friggin' awesome. Like the Spy Troops ones. Like this. This is a friggin' awesome vehicle. But we'll do some reviews of those ones later. But you know what I mean? And like, they could have had even like Russian jets taken out of the museum and German jets. You know, there's so many vehicles. You could have had like a huge episode of you know, 2 parts or 3-part episode of Cobra taking these vehicles out of the museum, and then Joe going in and taking the other ones out and fighting them. You know, there's so many avenues that it could have gone in the line. And then another thing that was super disappointing was, this is supposed to be the 40th anniversary of G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero, and they come out with Classified. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, with Classified, you cannot interchange the parts, and that was a huge thing about G.I. Joe collectors. We love interchanging the parts. We love to fix our figures. And you know, when they started doing stuff like this, where you could no longer fix your figure, well, the O-ring goes and then your figure's junk, unless you could figure out a way to reseal it. And that's one thing that the engineers at Hasbro are not getting. Huge thing is the file cards people love, and the fact that we can interchange parts and make it compatible. Well, Operation Recall and Call Sign Longbow, they're making theirs compatible, and the same people that worked on G.I. Joe in the 1980s and 90s are who is behind Operation Recall and Call Sign Longbow, you know, and the figures are even being made at the exact same factory. So that is friggin' awesome. So Google those and go have a look at, I think it's Toy Connect's channel. He talks about that as well. And a few other channels. I think there's Sergeant Slaughter's channel. I forget the name of that one. But so there's a lot more out there. And you know, these oversized weapons that Hasbro made, you know, this is friggin' awesome that they made more weapons, but they might fit into the hands of more modern figures, but they might not. So we're gonna go into more, and we do have one more thing to review for 1983, and that is the G.I. Joe Command Headquarters. And I did get one of those for Christmas in 1983. It was friggin' awesome. But we will talk more about that. So all of you out there in the comments below, let me know if you got a HasLab Sky Striker that was priced probably 4 or 5 times the price of a Sky Striker, because the 2011 one was only $50 Canadian. So that's dirt cheap. Whereas this one, the HasLab, was priced over 200 and something American. But oh well, love it. It's coming and super stoked. Yo, Joe! Till the next one.